Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this afternoon's introduction to Seneca for Teachers. Just going to give it a moment whilst we all get ourselves comfortable and ready. By all means, as you arrive, please pop your name, possibly the name of the school you teach at, within our comments section. And do please give me a thumbs up or a yes in the comments, just to make sure that you can hear me fine. It would be rather dramatic if I was carrying on throughout the next half an hour without anyone able to hear me. So do please drop your name in, say hi, tell me where you're from, and in just a moment or two, we will get started. As you can see from my name on the slide there, I'm Ben. I'm Head of Customer Success here at Seneca. You're incredibly lucky because I joined only a week ago. So this is baptism by fire for me to really get up to speed. But the beauty is that it is really very easy. You will see as we go through this afternoon's little journey across Seneca that it is incredibly intuitive. Fantastic. Well done. Brilliant, Julie. Thank you. Welcome from Eastbourne. Thank you, Nicola, that you can hear me. Everybody else, thank you so much for joining today. I appreciate the time that you're giving up to this because I know just how busy you must all be welcoming pupils back, or if they're not on site yet, you're probably going through that rigmarole of multi-day testing for your pupils. So thank you so much for coming along. So I'm not going to make any assumptions today as to whether you have used Seneca before, whether you are using it as a free platform, or whether you are one of our premium schools. So do bear with me because I'm going to take us all the way through from sign up to creating a class as a teacher, adding content, adding and assigning homework, looking at how we can report on the progress of your pupils, because that's the key here, isn't it? We're looking to find an additional tool in your arsenal to make sure that your pupils are making the very most progress through this academic year. We'll then finish the session by looking at what it means to be a pupil using Seneca. What does it look like? What's the workflow? What access do they have? And how do we make it engaging for pupils? So hopefully that's going to cover almost everything that you're interested in. At the end, I will be, of course, sharing my email address so that I can be used as a direct point of contact for any questions that you have and to help you navigate and progress your use of Seneca. And of course, should you wish to make that leap from a free user to a premium school, absolutely, I am going to be all ears to you. So without further ado, let's get started because I realize that I want to get through without taking up any more of your afternoons. You can see from my screen, and I'm just going to ensure that it is the largest possible. It certainly is. So you can see this is where you would get to if you'd navigated from your favorite search engine by searching Seneca Learning. And you can create yourself as a parent, because we must, as we know, ensure the parent community are on board and engaged with their children's learning. So we allow direct access through as a parent. I'm following the route here that is for teachers. So you can see I can join a class, I can log in, I can sign up. So I'm just going to show you what this flow looks like. So I'm going to create a class. And this is going to take me to my sign-in page or my sign-up page. And the key with Seneca is just trying to take as much friction out of your life as possible. So whether that's saving you time on homework creation and allocation, saving you time on marking, or indeed just getting into tools, we allow a single sign-on. So you can see here, if you're a Microsoft school, so if you're using Teams to interact with your pupils, or whether you are Google with Google Classroom, you can sign in with that single sign-on. And that's vitally important for pupils as well, so that we're not having to clutter them with additional passwords to remember. So I'm going to follow this route using my Google account. And you can't see it on the window I'm sharing, but that is just popped up the standard Google and Gmail authentication, and it's just following me through. And now you can see that I am within my teacher profile. And so this is where you would be navigating to whenever you log in. It will show you all your active classes. So you can see here, I'm a jack of all trades. I've got some GCSE biology, English, some French. I've got even some Spanish in there. And I've got maybe an intervention class there, Monday intro lesson. So this is your hub as a class teacher using Seneca. But I will talk us through how we create an additional class. And nice and easy, you can see here we've got our plus button. I'm going to click that. And as I'm just waiting for that to load up, just a further comment. It's great to see so many of you introducing yourselves through the comments. If at any point you've got a question, don't hesitate, just drop it in the comments box. I'll be able to see that as it comes up and drag it across so that we can share that question with the whole audience. Now, it might be that your question will form part of my natural flow. So if I'm not answering it straight away, don't worry. It's probably just because it is something I'm going to focus on. But absolutely, if it's something that is of importance, I will drag it across and highlight it to everybody. So we can see I've got a prompt up on screen here, create a class. I'm going to call that Tuesday Economics. Well, why not? So Tuesday Economics, and I'm going to create the class. And you can see I'm already being sort of pushed through an automated workflow here so that you know exactly what you need to do to be able to optimize your setup. And we can see I've created the class, we've got a nice tick. Now I need to add course material. And I can do that one of two ways. I can either click on add courses, or I can drop down to these tiles beneath and add course that way. And you'll see here as the page loads, and of course I'm showing my screen, so it's a little slower than it would be normally, but we've got around about sort of over 1100 items of course material, which could look overwhelming, but we've got two ways in which you can filter this down. We can either do a natural search, so I could have a look at economics, and so I've got the Edexcel business, and so let's have a look through. Now, you'll see the error in my choice here, because of course what I'm looking at here is A-level material. And here we go. So I've got my my AQA, Edexcel, etc. So what we're looking at here is providing you the most relevant content devised by lead examiners with all these examination boards. I'm going to just close off that search so we can see everything again, and just highlight that down the left-hand side, we can filter and narrow our search through these relevant buckets of categorization. So I've got my age group as A-level. I'm going to filter through here for economics, and I'm going to look for my required exam board. So I'm going to select AQA, and we can see on screen here those three levels of course materials. So I've got a summer preparation course, so that would be there as preparatory information and course material for those just finishing their GCSE year, making their choices to move into A-level for A-level economics in year 12. So I'm going to add that to my course material, and I'm going to take the core AQA course as well. So I've assigned those two elements. Now I need to add them to my class. So I'm up at the top of the screen, clicking on Add Course. So we can see back in our class summary, I have a nice tick against, I've created my class, I've added courses. Now I can explore that content, and I can assign that as homework or in-class activities or as structured intervention material. So I'm going to come down to this tile here, the assignments, and I'm going to add an assignment. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take that from the main AQA course. And you'll see these sliders come across, so they load the entire AQA unit. If you are by any luck an A-level economics teacher, you will recognize this as the sort of the authoritative flow of learning that you will be used to taking your pupils through. So I've got 15 units there. Each one is subdivided into chapters. And as you can see here, I'm going to assign week one's homework. So I'm going to look here and I'm going to think, right, okay, I'm going to add the preview. I'm going to add the nature and purpose of economic activity and economic resources. What you might have noticed for those eagle-eyed of you is that up at the top here, we have this sort of approximate time that is increasing or decreasing as I select and deselect these units. And that's really there to give you that insight as to what is the level of effort you're looking to ask your pupils to undertake, to ensure as well that your homework fits within guidelines as well. What we wouldn't want to see is that you'd just allocate an entire couple of chapters and find that actually you're allocating an hour and 10 minutes worth of work. So I'm going to choose those first 3 units, and I'm going to click on Assign. But before I do that, I'm going to think, okay, I'm being told by Seneca that this is the relevant course material, but let me just have a little look. What is it that I'm actually giving my pupils to review and answer? And any one of these subtopics of these units, you can click on the preview, and this loads up the course material that will be presented to the student. Now, what you're seeing here is a full page display. It's not displayed like this for the students. They see it in a sort of a journey, as it were, based on their own personalized answer flow. But what we have here, we typically start with this carousel of knowledge. I'm going to just scroll through and highlight how the content is displayed. And we always look to reinforce learning, both from an engagement and a dual coding perspective, with as many rich images and animations, GIFs, and sort of micro lecture videos as possible. So you'll see a range of content formats. I'm going to come through here, and I can now see my first question, which again, I'm filling in this sort of spidergram, this mind map. Got a missing word question here. Here we have a sentence in context, and I've got to fill out what the missing elements are. Here I've got a flow of content. So economic studies, how humans make decisions under scarcity. One type of decision that could be made is societal. So I can then follow what are the meanings of this core vocabulary within economics, and I can follow through like that. We're then introduced to more content and question flows. Here we have a little slider, which is there for true and false. So you'll see we're looking to captivate and sort of ensure that pupils can digest the course material and transfer from short to long-term memory in as engaging a manner as possible with different question styles. So I've confirmed in my mind that that's exactly what I want to send to our pupils. I'm going to close that preview, and I'm going to click on the Assign button. So Economics 101, week 1. So I'm titling that piece of assignment. And you can see here that the start date is automatically attributed to today, and the due date likewise is always attributed to a week's time. Our recommendation, of course, is to fit in with whatever cadence you have within your school, but we would recommend that you're assigning work on a weekly or at the very least a fortnightly basis to ensure that pupils can remain engaged with the platform. And as we look at the student platform, you'll be able to understand why we need a regular cadence to this, because there is an element of gamification and competition. And so the more access they have to the system, the more that is going to work and drive progress for your pupils. So I have my work created, assigned for a week's time, and I'm going to click Create. There we have it. I know I've been talking as we go here, but that is around about half a dozen clicks to being able to create and assign homework, compared to what could have been hours at the weekend or in the evenings to find the material, format it, and distribute it. So how do I get it to my pupils? Well, there are a number of different ways. As I said at the top, when we looked at how to log in, we can use Google Classroom or we can use Microsoft Teams. So if you are an establishment that uses those routes, you can simply click on Google Classroom. That will take you straight through to your own personal Google Classroom environment and distribute to that particular class. Likewise with Teams, or you can copy the assignment. I'm just going to take a copy, and I'm going to save that for a moment. We'll look at that in a second. It could be as well that you've got a particular group that might be working with a teaching assistant. You could copy this link and email this link to the TA so that they can be prepared to understand what that core material is that you will be discussing in class or in a particular intervention group that he or she may be taking. So there are a number of ways that you can disseminate the information across your department, and a number of different ways that you can use that assignment as well. I'm going to close that off. And once you have shared that assignment, you then move down your left-hand workflow here from sort of the overview to the assignments. And this is where you will start capturing that class level and pupil level progress report. Now, you can see we've got no pupils assigned, but if this were live, what we would see is a completion rate appearing and opening up here. Now, I'm actually just going to run a slight experiment with you all. And as we know, live experiments are slightly risky, but let's see how we fare. So I've just clicked to the link for that assignment. And as you can see, having opened the link, I've now just joined Tuesday Economics. I'm going to click on that. So I'm now part of this course. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to share this link with you all through the comments. So at your own desktops, you can as well open that piece of coursework up, join our virtual economics class, and take a look at that coursework. Don't worry, I'm not expecting you to process it through and run through. I certainly remember from my university days, studying economics was not my strong point, so don't feel I'm putting you under pressure here. But what we would then see is your registered name appearing within the data here as pupils. And so as you would be as a teacher assigning homework, we would then see an ever-increasing completion rate. We know that there are homework policies in play across the country, so absolutely we do monitor and identify who is submitting work late, or indeed who hasn't completed the coursework material. And at class level, we can see for those individual chapters of economic methodology, nature and purpose, and economic resources, we would see an increasing, hopefully increasing average score for each of those units. And in a moment, we'll look at what that looks like with live data. But hopefully as well, you can get a sense on your own laptops or desktops now, what does it look like as a pupil to enter a class and receive a piece of coursework? Insights, we would sit in here so we can unlock and view total progress for your school and class. I'm just going to jump across into another tab which does actually have some dummy data. So we can see here that I'm a teacher that has set a number of pieces of homework in the past. And you'll see as a teacher, you can flit between that assignment that is open, that the due date is in the future, and all of those in the past. There is no point us creating a valuable and rich platform of insight only to close that data down to you once the due date has been met. So at any point, you can come back to a particular piece of homework. I'm going to look at this French homework that has been set to 31 students. And now you can see this is where we're really delivering value to you as a teacher. So whether it's sort of AFL or more sort of robust summative data, we can look at the class progress and we can look at individual student progress through this summary data here. And you'll see we've got every pupil in the class. And be assured that this is dummy data. I'm not showing you live pupil activity here. So we can see each pupil's status, were they late, had they completed that work, how long it took them to complete, and their average score across the units. And you can hover over the chapter numeric code, and this will tell you exactly what was that unit that they were responding on. Now, the default when you come to this page is the best score. That's always a good starting point. But what we recommend to all our teachers is that you reinforce to pupils that they should undertake that homework as many times as possible to really get the very highest score that they possibly can. Because the beauty of Seneca is that it's not a rigid flow of questioning. It is a smart algorithm that looks at each individual pupil and assesses their strengths and weaknesses. And so their question flow will be personal to them. It's not a uniform whole class process. So the more that they interact with the material, the more it will attune and deliver them the content that they need, whether that's sort of answering off any misconceptions they have or filling gaps in their knowledge. And also that vital element of negating that dreaded forgetting curve so that we can make sure that they're sort of revisiting that material in a recursive manner and ensuring the highest progress possible. So they've taken the course material a number of times so we can see the best score, but I'm going to come in because I want to see exactly how many times did my pupils complete this homework. And we can see here that Cristobal, if we take our first pupil here, has completed units multiple times. So this first unit, 4, 5, only once for that third, and 5 attempts for the fourth unit. So that's giving me a picture, okay, how frequently has Cristobal been coming back to it? So I'm now going to look at where that score progression sits. So the first attempt, Cristobal was looking at a 43% average coming across those units. Most recent, so if I look at the best score, we can see a 43% average has been improved to 81%. So we can see quite clearly that Cristobal has made determined effort and progress. But the beauty is we can also see color-coded there that there are 2 key units within that work where Cristobal still has incorrect answers included. So whether that is a follow-up, so whether that's to revisit that work, whether that's an intervention group or pre-teach for the next session, we can inform our planning by looking at what these scores demonstrate. Now we've got NA here, and we can see from the clicks that these crosses, that these pupils have not completed the homework. They've completed some, but not all of the units. And so what can I do now as a teacher, because I'm seeing that my overall class scores are not great? Well, I'm going to click on Smart Reassign, and I've got 3 options here. I can assign the unit again to all of those that have not completed the work. So I'm seeing a number of pupils who haven't completed all units. I can reassign. I can also reassign to those that have not achieved 50% total score. And I'm going to reassign the work. And below you can see that this is highlighting 4 pupils. So I'm going to think, actually, that's only 4 pupils, but I had more who hadn't completed it all. So I'm going to do the incomplete, and I'm going to reassign. I'm going to say French homework 1, reassign. And I'm going to reassign that work to just those 4 pupils there. And then, as we saw when we were setting the homework from the start, it's the same mechanisms, direct through Classroom, through Teams, or via web link. So I'm just going to duck back to my classes. And I'm going to jump into this Year 11 class. And so we've created a class, we've created assignments. How do we add pupils? So there are a number of ways, because again, it's all about removing friction. So we've added pupils simply by sharing that content. So each one of you who clicked on the link that I shared in the comments will have become a pupil in the class. But there are a number of ways. So if I click on Add Pupil, I can do that directly via Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, or email. But one route that I really like, because each class has a unique code, if I click on this link here, what I'm presented with is a PDF document that can be printed to create these wallet-sized QR codes. So again, you can present those to your pupils in class. So again, it might just be an intervention or a focus group, or for your sort of talented and gifted pupils, a challenge group. You can give just those required pupils the QR code to access the class from their phone, from their tablet, etc. So there are so many ways in which you can make sure your pupils are engaged and registered on the platform. So let's look at our student platform. Just going to jump across now. And as I do so, do please, if there's anything that I've maybe, because I recognize this is a whistle-stop tour, if there's anything you'd like me to come back to or focus on in more depth, do drop it into the comments. Let me know what your focus is, whether there are any other questions that you have, because so far I know I've not talked about the premium element and how we can support schools by connecting to your MIS, so your SIMS or your ARBOR. There are lots of other things that we can do to function connectivity and ease of access. So back to my shared screen. Here we have the pupil platform. And now one of the things that we're often asked is, do pupils only see the work that I as a teacher assign them? And the answer is no. What we want to be, and we're striving to be, is a global platform for learning to ensure that pupils the world over have access to material that is developed and personalized in a way that will see them make pleasurable progress. So the entire course library that you have access to as teachers is available to pupils. Now, that might mean that if you are, as I was, that economics teacher, you might want to say to your class, look, it is all available, but follow the natural cadence of our lessons. Please don't go beyond chapter 4. We will be covering that off in class. But what you might notice as you start reporting is that your pupils are exploring their own learning at their own pace. So you might find your economics pupil is also studying Italian, Spanish, French, what have you. And that is fantastic. That's what we want to be seeing, is that they're engaged with learning and furthering their own personal development. So as I say that, as a pupil, you can search for a course. GCSE. So I'm searching as a pupil in the same mechanism as when I was looking at it as a teacher, so I can access all the course material. If I come back out of there, though, what I can see here, this first tile is about those, it's highlighting those recent courses. So those are the ones that I've undertaken as a pupil and those that my class teachers have assigned me. If I scroll down the page, you will always see this main focus. When is my next assignment due? And that is always going to show just one assignment, and that is the most pressing piece of work that is due in. So we can see here, I have biology homework. Start date was last week, and it is due in 2 days' time. I can see here that this particular pupil has already completed part of that work, and we can see that over here. They've completed monomers and polymers, but they're still outstanding on the types of polysaccharides and the end of topic test. So as that pupil, I can jump straight in, clicking on the types of polysaccharides, and let's just have a little look at the flow. What is it like to complete some learning as a Seneca student? As we saw with that economics, I have the initial carousel of core material. Now, as a pupil coming in for the first time, what you'll find is there is a natural typing speed, so the material is dynamically presented on page, and I can speed that up. So if I am more impatient, I can see that come through if I've got a faster reading speed. But also a question that we have is, what about our EAL or RCN pupils who might struggle with that additional cognitive load to process a dynamic type? Well, I will always recommend that we turn that typing speed off. So when your pupil navigates the content, there is no sort of dynamic nature to it. It is presented up on screen, so they're not having to race to compute that or decode that content. So I'm going through this content, and I'm going to now dive into the questions. And I can see I've got 3 pieces of content there. So at every point, the pupil knows what is available. And here I have one of these sliders, so I can have a look which of the following is true of starch. I'm going to take that across because the answer is incorrect. I'm going to just sort of demonstrate, I don't know what's going on here. So I'm going to, there we go, sort all of those sliders. But what you will have seen by my dithering there is that the system is going to recognize that that is a part of the content that me as a learner, that I as a learner is struggling with. So I'm presented some further content here to make connections, types of starch. So I've got this sort of hierarchy tree of content. I'm now coming into some new content based on the glycogen, and I've now got a missing word. And the key element here that's to be remembered is that the content never disappears. So as a learner, I can refer back up to this content whenever necessary. So that would then be as a highly, no, so I'm taking a guess there. I'm going to check. So it's a highly branched structure. So again, Seneca will recognize that my learning is not quite there with this. So my questioning will keep coming back to the format of the glycogen structure. So I'm going to jump out of that session, and we'll continue looking at this homepage here. So I don't know whether any of you are fans of the BBC's Sherlock Holmes series, but something that Sherlock does is he creates a memory palace in his vast brain where he stores away all those clues and pieces of information that helps him solve crimes. Well, we've taken that concept, and so every piece of learning that a pupil undertakes, they store in their global memory palace. So what we do is we ascribe or reference every piece of learning with a global location. particularly for those of us who haven't been traveling over the last sort of 2 years. This is quite a sort of a bittersweet thing, because we're seeing these wonderful locations. And so I can see here that the Find the Reflection example is associated with Roskilde. I've got Battle of Hastings associated with these islands of Indonesia. And this means that at any point, I can come back to that particular piece of learning and refresh my memory. We also, to add that gamification, for every piece of work that you complete as a learner, you are given a global ranking. So this means that you can compete against learners from across the world to achieve the very highest score. And we always maintain an ongoing knowledge score, total number of questions answered, and pupils can take pride in the amount of learning that they have done by seeing a total learning time. Right, I'm just going to drop back to the teacher platform and take a look. I have seen that we have a question that has come up. I'm just going to drag this across onto a screen. So students often forget their logins. If I assign via Google Classroom, does this mean they can access without having to remember a Seneca login? Absolutely right. Great question. And that's the beauty of that single sign-on. If you are a Google Classroom school, that would be their access point, either through Google Classroom, or when they come straight through to the Seneca platform, they are just using that same school email address and password that they have associated with their Google account, so that there is no sort of duplication or addition of effort. No further passwords are needed. So it should streamline their access and ability to learn. Conscious that I've just hit the half an hour mark, so just a couple of extra things I'm going to highlight. I mentioned parents. It is vital that any use of Seneca within the school is highlighted to the parent community. As with any element of learning, we know that we're going to see greater results if parents can support their children within their home learning. Just going to quickly show you what that looks like from a parent connected to a pupil. So I'm just going to change. Unfortunately, this is my view as a member of staff here at Seneca, but I'm just going to change my access. And I can see here that I have an associated child, Flavia, and I can see all the coursework that she has undertaken. And this will give me an understanding as how much time they've spent on each unit of homework. So if I felt so inclined, I could speak to her over the dinner table about why the standardized assessment for biology took 34 seconds. I can see how many sessions were completed, how many correct answers they're getting. So again, that's just a really useful snapshot as a parent to ensure that pupils are learning. And again, we have direct top tips for parents as well, how they can play an active role in the development of their children. By all means, whenever you've logged into Seneca, do take a look at Premium. I'll just quickly scroll through these very quickly to outline what the enhancements are should you decide to undertake a paid service as a whole school. So we can, sorry, I'm still looking at that as a parent, because we do offer a tutoring route as well. So as a parent, you can look to enhance the learning with a direct tutor relationship. But as a school, what are the benefits? The first you will have seen already from when we were assigning coursework was there is a greater wealth. There's sort of 150% more course material that is unlocked to you as a premium subscriber. We have different course materials as well. So you can see on the example here, we have revision work that is there for that night before the exam cramming, or indeed, whilst we can't get past papers because they're copyrighted by the exam boards, we do have those lead examiners across the range of subjects creating predicted papers for us. So as a school, you can assign those as part of the exam prep at GCSE and A-level. We can plug into your school MIS, so that means we can have custom reports. So you can see that across the breadth of the school by subject. We can also have pupil segmentation, so whether they are pupil premium, whether they're SEN, EAL, etc. So you can really dive deeply into that data. Naturally, with an MIS inclusion, there is that seamless automatic update. So if you're seeing pupils move across classes, pupils coming and going, that is all taken care of automatically, rather than you as a teacher having to manually facilitate those class updates. And we have smart learning modes. So again, these are different enriched ways in which the smart algorithms will look to compete against that forgetting curve and look to ensure your pupils are making the most progress possible. So listen, thank you everyone. As I started, I'm going to just say another big thank you to you all for carving out the time to meet with me this afternoon. I really hope that that's been a good introduction to you for Seneca. I'm going to, as promised, I'm just going to come across to the comments. I'm going to pop my email address. I'm Ben, Head of Customer Success, and always here to answer your questions and support you with your needs and use of Seneca. So Seneca. So my email address is landing in the comments now. We'll just take a little moment. Should there be any last minute questions, by all means, if you've seen what you need to see and you've got that confidence, find some time to log in and play around. Use my email address to ask any questions. And I really, really look forward to working with you across this academic year. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon, everyone. To stay for a moment for those still on screen, if there are any questions. So do let me know. If you have any questions that you'd rather answer offline, my email box is open and I'll pick those up straight away. Super stuff. Listen, it doesn't look like they've got any questions this afternoon, so thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Best of luck with that return to school and enjoy the sunshine whilst it lasts. Thank you, everybody. Take care.